I'm just going to type this thing here and hopefully, there we go. There we go. Speaking of trust. So, welcome back. Today is the 18th of June, and as I am recording it, and yesterday was a day of a considerable amount of effort and involvement and anticipation. And I have retrieved, among other things, including my sanity, I have retrieved my magnificent hood ornament, my beautiful, tiny, perfect flamingo that was made for me many, many years ago for my birthday by a genius. And it was made for me before I bought my convertible. And then I just waited. We just kept it. And what is weird with my hair? Crazy. Just kept it. And then along came the perfect car. And the next thing we knew, the flamingo was riding proudly on the hood, much to the astonishment of every loyal BMW owner on the planet. Because to put the flamingo, we had to remove the BMW rondelle. Anyway, the BMW, along with many things, went the way of all things. And so I have been waiting for the moment when the house sold to retrieve it. So yesterday, the house sold, and the BMW Flamingo is now going to ride proudly in the Copper Beast. Not on the hood, but someplace visible to make people do the double take that I came to know and love. So that's my little backstory about yesterday. It is the precursor to the whole conversation that I want to have with you today, which is your definition of trust. In fact, all our definitions of trust, because it really gets in our way, and it's very unhappy for us when it does. So hang on a second. Now, just before I get started, something happened last time on Thursday, and I wasn't able to see anybody's comments. I don't know what happened. I checked this morning. It seems to be okay, because it only says that messages can be seen when the Facebook Live is public on Facebook, and I double checked, and it is. So if I'm not replying to you, I still have to sort out the technical glitch. There was a restart on the computer, and who knows, something might have happened that I don't know about. So I'm going to be talking to Billy a little later, and I will sort it out. So if you don't get me back, if you don't see me saying hi and how are you and I love you and all that, it's not that I don't. It's that I haven't seen. And again, talk about the conversation about trust. So my question to you this morning, or whenever it is you're watching this video, is what is your definition of trust? And the reason I'm asking it is that one of the things that I discovered many years ago when I started coaching and training actors who were understandably riding very high adrenaline when they were going to get into performance. And I would say you must put your trust in the process. And we would have conversations during rehearsals where they would say, well, good morning. Oh, good. It's working. Good morning, Kelly. How wonderful to see you. Thank you so much. I was so upset. I couldn't see any comments last time. And I thought, did I break it? What happened? In any event, when I was coaching actors, and I would say, you put your trust in the process. When they would say, he didn't pick up the prop, he didn't hand it to me, she didn't this didn't that, the audience wasn't so-and-so. And everybody is very upset because there is an expectation that we bring to the conversation, to everything we're doing. If we show up, we expect other people will also show up. We place that expectation on them. And what we're really doing inside our head is we're saying, if they cared about me as much as I care about them, or this, then they would do what I do. They would show up. They would be on time. They would have the work ready. When they don't, if they don't, that is a measure of how little I mean to them. Not true. Not true, and not actually connected. The reason they don't show up, the reason they don't deliver, isn't wrapped up in us. It is wrapped up in them and their relationship with the situation. And the mistake we make, I saw a meme the other day that said, my problem is that I expect me out of people. Oh, oh my gosh. Brilliant, brilliant, exactly brilliant. You're absolutely right. Here's the thing. We didn't really want to expect me out of them. I don't really expect me out of most people. Dear God, I don't know that the world is ready for that. What I do expect is if they say a thing, that they have the same addition. They have the same definition of the thing that I have. So therefore, the onus is on me, isn't it? Well, it's on both of us, but the onus is on me if I want to be satisfied and I want to be unsurprised. The onus is on me to say, and what do you mean by that? You know, I used to say often when I was doing stand-up, military kids can't tell the difference between forever and 4:30. And it's funny and yet true, because our forever is always reinvented. Surprise, we're leaving. Surprise, he's not coming home. And so we have a very different definition. I also used to tease men about it. You know the problem with you is when you say forever, what you really mean is until the game, is what you're saying. So the trust concept that we jump a shark, we cross a bridge without realizing it. And once we cross it, we're not having the same conversation that we think we're having. If you say to me, let's meet at 4, and I say, okay, shall we synchronize our watches? Certainly, we synchronize our watches. I'm there at 4, you're not. Does that mean you lied to me? You couldn't let me know? Does that mean your word doesn't mean anything? Did your watch stop? The battery died? You got in a car accident? Something happened? Still, you couldn't have told me since you said we will do this? We are asking them to behave like us, except that they're not us. What we really should say was 4 o'clock-ish. Let me know if there's an issue. Carol and I have gotten into a habit because of traffic in a lot of situations, is when we're going someplace, I get in the car, start the car, leave the building. Before I turn onto the street, I send her a message and I say, leaving now. And, God willing, and the creeks don't rise, we know how long it's going to take me to get there. And she does the same, leaving now. So from the time of leaving to the time of arriving, if it's, and then sometimes if she has a hands-free device, she can say, crazy traffic, it looks like I'm going to be 10 minutes late. That's very considerate. It's very considerate. So I'm not thinking, oh my gosh, what happened? That's a long time friendship. And that's a long time understanding that things aren't always what we think they're going to be, that things change out of our control. That is not me saying to her, she doesn't care about me anymore. She's not my friend anymore. Why didn't she tell? It's not that. It's stuff happens out of the blue. Suddenly an oven And so if I can give you today this really interesting definition, speaking of reading something the other day, this really interesting definition of trust that surprises people, a lot of people, when I say it, and it's upsetting to many who equate the word trust with love and compassion and care and priority. You know, why didn't he, and he could have, and he should have, and didn't he know, and he must have known, and I trusted him. I trusted her, I trusted them. Okay, here's the real definition of trust. Trust is the end result of the ability to reliably predict behavior. Trust is the ability we acquire. It's our ability to reliably predict behavior. Not every time, but reliably. What does that mean? Here's what it really means. It means that if they're a liar, there's a fairly good chance they're going to lie to you again. Not all the time. We don't need to walk around saying, nobody likes me, they never this, they're always going to be that, he's terrible, no. We don't need to assign a little gray cloud over the heads of everybody and look at them with suspicion and say, I have to protect myself and defend myself against an ugly, angry, uncaring world. No. Remove the emotion. If every time you do a thing, 9 times out of 10, it turns up purple, the chances are fairly good that it will turn up purple 9 times out of 10, because it has. When it doesn't, ooh, surprise. Mostly, though, it has. Likely, it will. That's trust. It's also called pattern recognition, which is the best, coolest, smartest, most incredible skill I somehow managed to learn when I was a child. And I mean, I know where and how I learned it. It's the military. And if you keep getting moved, uprooted, and replanted, if you want to fit in quickly, if you want the lag of, I don't know where my locker is at school, to shorten, you can watch the way people behave. You don't assign any emotion to it. Just watch the way they behave. Watch what they do 9 times out of 10. When the bell rings in the middle of the day, they all go that way. I wonder what that way is. If it's noon, maybe it's the cafeteria. Let's find out. Oh, look, it is. When the bell rings in the middle of the morning, in the middle of the afternoon, do they go to the cafeteria? No, they're going someplace else. I wonder where they might be going. Let's find out. Same sounding bell, but different time of day. I can reliably predict this. If I meet someone who is a rebel and who kind of prides themselves on being a rebel, what are the chances they're going to be a rebel? What are the chances that if they say, yeah, that's the way everybody does it, what are the chances that they're not going to? Huge. Why? Rebel. Oh, but what if I said it means a lot to me? Okay, but that's an expectation. That's an expectation. Rebels are allergic to expectation. Rebels like to prove everyone wrong and cause the utmost damned astonishment. I know, because I am descended from many of them. Hello, we are Vikings. How you doing? Everybody. How did you come up the river? Sneaky boat. Vikings invented sneaky boats with big ass serpent heads on the front, just in case you didn't see us coming. Talk about branding. So anything you look at and you take your emotion out of it and you take the personal out of it, anything you look at, if we're having a benign conversation and you're not upset about something, and I say, well, isn't he always late? And you don't say, yes, he is. And isn't he always late? Yes, he's always late. How often, how late is he? Well, he's usually 10 or 15 minutes late. My girlfriend, many years ago, we were having lunch. I showed up late and I said, I'm so sorry. And she said, I want to tell you something. Sit down. She directed a lot of my plays. So I said, sit down. Yes. Okay. Yes, Lorraine. And she said, you know what you do? You're always 15 minutes late. You want to know how to fix it? And I'm still stuck on, you know what you do? You're always this. I'm thinking, wait, what? And she said, do you want to know how to fix it? And I said, probably I do, since you're bringing it up. And she said, everybody has a list. Everybody has a list of things they're planning to do. Take the last bottom thing off the list. What do you mean? And she said, what did you decide that you could do without being late on your way here? Well, nothing. No, you did. You're doing this thing. What did you do? Well, I dropped off the dry cleaning, but okay. So next time, don't do that. And she's, I have to drop off. Yes, but don't do it before lunch or leave 15 minutes early, because it always takes longer than people think to drop off the dry cleaning. Or get gas. How long does it take? Oh, it's just a minute. No, it doesn't. No, because it takes at least 2 minutes at the pump, and then you have to go in, and 6 people ahead of you are buying lottery tickets. It takes 15 minutes to do every errand when you don't count driving to and from. Take the last one off the list. I just took out the garbage, okay? And then what happened? What do you mean? I just took out the garbage. And then what happened? I got back in the car. Yeah, that's it? Nothing happened? No, well, take the last thing off the list. That way you will not be late. So the next time I took the last thing off the list, I was on time for something and everybody else was late. And you know what? It's hateful. It's hateful. Sitting there. And I thought, oh, I see. Yeah, all right. I can see why they're annoyed. And by the way, I'm annoyed. So she knew I was late and she wanted to help me correct it, to become aware of why I was late, because I didn't realize what I was doing. And she said, you're late. You're always consistent. You're consistently late about 15 minutes because you're an optimist. I said, I don't understand how you put those two things together. And she said, because you think you can do one more thing. You always think you can do one more thing. And you can, except that you're always then 15 minutes late. Really? Yes. So fix it. Or let me know. Let me know you're going to be 15 minutes late. But by the way, the minute you do, you'll think of something else to put on the list, and then you'll be another 15 minutes late. So back to trust. Our ability to reliably predict behavior is based on repetition, is based on observation, is based on watching consistent behavior. Watching it. Why are they doing that? Kind of doesn't matter why they're doing it, because they didn't ask us to help them fix it. But it would be interesting to know why they're doing it. That way you could understand it. You'd stop fussing about it. You just say, oh, that's that. I will do this. But we don't really have the best time of our lives when we're focused on compensating for other people. We really don't. Because when we compensate for other people, they're in charge. They have somehow managed to make us responsible to make everything work so they don't have to. That's not what a relationship is. That's a one-way street. And as my dad used to say, don't help people who will not help themselves. Not who cannot, but who choose not, who hand off the responsibility. Okay, if you know that they're going to do it, you can reliably predict that they're going to do it, and therefore you can opt out. Yes. However, if you feel a sense of responsibility to them and you are not somebody like that, then you will compensate for them, and then you will feel annoyed and put upon. One of the things that I dislike vastly is having to be good about it. Having to say, no, no, that's okay. I'm fine. I'm not fine. Well, I am fine, but I'm not okay, because I have now been nudged into doing something I did not plan to do or would not have planned to do. But in order for this to work, I have had to say yes, forced my hand. And this is what happens when we misunderstand trust. So I'm going to give you a real life example that happened yesterday. And here I am, I'm the word girl. I'm the person at the front of this Pivotry boat, and it happened to me again. So in my defense, it was a long drive from Ottawa to Montreal yesterday, and it was there's construction, not so much at my end, but significant construction at that end. One of the major access routes is heavily under construction, and so everybody has to divert to another way, and so you get double the traffic. There's two ways onto the island of Montreal, and one of them is down to one lane. Everybody has to go this way. So from the minute everybody has to go this way, it becomes a different kind of trip. And I knew that. So I wasn't surprised. So I planned ahead. All is well. And I'm in my car. I'm in my copper beast. And I'm going to accomplish a wonderful thing. And I'm going to see wonderful people who are going to walk through this process with me. So everything about it is amazing. And it's been long awaited and looked forward to. And now here we are. So I go. It takes longer than normal. That's okay. I get to the space. We're all early. We sit and we talk, and then the other people come in, and then we meet the person running the meeting. And I make a discovery. And the discovery is that the financial institution that was indifferent, incompetent, and inept has continued to be that. And I had not considered that. I had not done my preemptive strike to make sure that what they provided to me was everything I needed. I forgot to do that. And so there we are sitting at the meeting, and the chap in charge says, "Oh no, this is incorrect. We need to have this information that the bank should have provided you. We need to have this information here. Do you have that document?" And I looked at him and I said, "No, I don't." And then I looked at one of my partners and he said, and I looked at the other one and she just went. And the thing is, his look and her look were my reminders that I can only trust that institution to get it wrong, to not show up, to do something inept, and not take the initiative to fix it without a great deal of coaching and prodding and nudging and standing in front of them until they do it. I knew that. I knew that going in. It has now been many, many, many months of dealing with that institution and those particular people at that institution. There was no reason on this reliable earth that they would suddenly change their behavior and get it right the first time. There was no reason for me to assume that they would. Nothing. Zero, nada. And yet, I did. I had said to myself, so I guess I have everything. Do I have everything? And the answer was, oh, yes. What I should have said was, do I specifically have this thing that they will ask for and I will need? Then I would have had a different answer. But in my experience with these particular people at this particular institution, they have never volunteered information if I have not asked the right question, the right way, precisely. Oh, we didn't know that's what you meant. It's the only thing you do for a living. You had you had one job, one job. So it is a climate of indifference in that particular branch of that institution. It is a climate. It is contagious. It is a not taking responsibility. It's, you know, when you go into restaurants and you say, excuse me, our waiter, could I get some water? It's not my section. Okay, but the water's right there. You don't really want me getting up and making the thing happen by myself. You don't want me doing that. It's not my section. It's water. I don't know who your waiter is. Okay. But you know what water is, right? And a glass, like, you know what water. You can't fix that. A, it's not yours to fix, it's not ours to fix, and they don't wish to fix it. Do not help people who have no intention of helping themselves. What are the chances that that individual at that restaurant who can't just go and get you a glass of water because in this moment they're not busy, like, let's be fair to them. Are they busy? Okay. If they're not busy in this moment, why couldn't they get you a glass of water? Because they don't want to. They're not inclined to. They see nothing in it for them. That's why. Therefore, you can trust them implicitly. And when they do suddenly show up and say, listen, sorry, I was just a little, my boyfriend, but here's your water. Oh, well, thank you very much. No, it's no problem. You're welcome. The surprise is when they change their behavior for reasons that you can't see. That is awesome. When we choose to spend time with someone, whether it's in a personal relationship or it's a social relationship or it's a business relationship, and they prove to us over and over and over again that they have certain behaviors, then it is wishful thinking on our part to say, if they cared about me, they wouldn't do it. It has nothing to do with anything. If they don't care about them, why would they care about you? If they don't care about doing a good job for them, why would they care to make you happy? It's logical. Trust is the ability, upon observation, to see it happening again and again and again, that this is a pattern, this is a set of habits, this person is on autopilot, this is what they have learned to do, this is their maintenance survival mode. It's got nothing to do with me. I just happen to be standing in front of them. But this is what they do all the time, all the time, all the time. And now, as I happen to be standing in front of them, they're going to do it out of me. It has nothing to do with what they care about. It certainly has nothing to do with how I feel. Define trust based on what it actually is. Trust is not a feeling. Trust is an ability to predict reliably what people will do. Not every time, not 100%. Surprise, not every time. However, if we can learn to see patterns, recognize them, it's also helpful to understand where the pattern probably came from. because then it makes sense. You know, if you live with people who are hard of hearing, you speak louder. Why does she always speak so loud? Oh, I didn't know. Oh, that makes sense. The more we know, the more we know. So the outcome yesterday of me staring at this man running the meeting and then looking at one partner and looking at the other partner and saying, yeah. So now this week, I am now tasked, because this is the job I took on, I am now tasked to correct those errors. I am now tasked to find the person who can give me the information and pass that along, and find the next person to give me the other information and pass that along, so the person who has to do the work in order to complete this transaction can in fact do their job. I am now compensating for 2 people I could have reliably predicted would not show up, would not do their job. And I didn't make that extra effort. I had everything else in place. I had all the documents. I'm all organized. I got there early. I knew the traffic was going to be fascinating. It took as long to go home as it did to get there. So instead of it being a 90-minute drive, it was a 3-hour drive each way. And then there was the time in the meetings, and then the time doing other things, and then a couple of errands to run on the way home. And as a result, I said to myself, well, it's a good thing it was only 1,000,000 degrees today. Tomorrow and the day after it's going to be 6,000,000 degrees. I ain't doing it then. I can reasonably predict behavior if the weather forecast is consistent, that it's going to be really hot, that I could maybe stay home. So how do I do that? I do the work ahead of time. I'm planning based on information I can reliably predict to be correct. Now, in this conversation about trust, every person I have ever worked with, every client I have ever had, every person who has hired me to midwife their author journey, to take the story that matters so much to them out of their head and out of their heart and put it on a page and give it the shape and the structure and the foundation it deserves, so that other people can read it and learn, and read it and understand, and read it and feel a sense of completion and understanding and awareness and gratitude. My job with those people is to, I am a wise lady. Kelly, I am what we call learning wisdom. I am in the wisdom process. I am seeing and barking my shin on it and saying, ow, and then doing that again and saying, ow. And then the third time I do it, I say, here's a plan. And then I change course. I hop over, I go around, under, through, whatever it is I do. But I really have to be given a sign of some kind. And yesterday, this lovely, wonderful human being who has been to all these meetings with me because he feels that he must, and he wants to be there for the process and for me. And when the person running the meeting said those fateful words, and I looked, and then I looked at my partner, and he looked at me and he said, that's it. He didn't say a thing. He shook his head, opened his eyes, angled his head. And afterwards, outside, he said, you know, sometimes it doesn't matter how well we compensate. People do the strangest things. And he said, we can fix it. We can fix it. It won't take long. And we've waited this long. And it's just going to be a matter of days and everything's okay. And I said, yes, it is. I know. Thank you for being here. And he said, hey, I wouldn't miss it. I'm in this with you. And then our realtor she said, oh, Abby, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna hug. And I said, listen, we just, I thought the race and the ticker, the tape at the end, I thought it was yesterday. No, it's not, but that's okay. That is okay. We can reliably predict it's going to take just a little longer. So the reason I understand that when I speak to someone who has invested a great deal of emotion and a great deal of personal need, hunger, desire, fragility in a conversation about trust, is that there are times when we want to know something. We want to believe something. We want reassurance about something. We want connection to something. And what we don't understand is that we have assigned all of those needs to this situation and behavior that we have no control of. And so what we do, because we are in a very needy, hungry place, when our needs aren't met, we feel helpless. We feel that we have been set adrift. We have been abandoned. We are not worthy of consideration, that we are not a fully qualified member of the tribe in other people's eyes. If we were, they would behave differently, is what is going on deep, deep, deep in the back of the head. When we look at it from a survival mechanism, the subconscious is feeling fear, it is feeling anxiety, and it is gearing up to defend itself, because the subconscious brain only understands survival and death. And so if things make us feel set adrift, afraid, out of control, unprotected, it feels like danger, and it feels like loss, and it feels very sad, very scary, and very empty. The thing is, they're not connected. The subconscious brain doesn't understand that because it's not developed that way. So how do we come up with something that is an emotional preemptive strike? How do we do that? And the answer is this. We have to trust, reasonably predict, based on previous behavior, that errors can be made. Simple, basic errors. Simple, basic math. 4 and 3 is 11. Simple, not pointed at us. And the reason errors can be made is that people are human. We are all human. We are not perfect. We get things wrong. If you have operated a vehicle of any kind, I can reasonably predict that you have made a mistake at a crossroads at some point. You know what happens when you see a sign that says stop. You know what happens when you see lights that say red and orange and green. You know what happens when you see traffic going this way or all traffic going this way. You know what those things mean. You understand them clearly. And yet there have been times, predictably I'm right, that you have not been paying attention. You have been overloaded by other things. You have been someplace else in your head, and you have gone against what those signs mean. And then somebody honks a horn, or there's an accident. Somebody yells, and you suddenly realize the error, and you do your best to fix it. And the person out there is yelling at you. Why? Because you scared them. Why? Because they don't like being scared and now they're angry. Why? Because their subconscious kicked in and they thought they were going to die. And so they are yelling at you as though you were going to attack them. You weren't going to attack them. You had drifted off into nowhere land for a second, and you attempted to turn left into oncoming traffic. You attempted to go through an intersection when the light was red. You attempted to keep going when there was a stop sign, when there was a car in front of you. Why did you do that? Did you do it on purpose? No. Okay, then it was an accident. Then you weren't present in the moment. That would be the human error. That would be driver error. Not homicidal maniac intention. It's driver error. Lights on, no one home in this moment. When somebody says, I'll pick you up at 4 o'clock and they don't show up, and you finally call and they say, oh, was that today? Is that the first time they've done that? Good to know. Do you know why they did that if it's the first time they did that? What else was going on? Are they overwhelmed and overloaded? If you knew that ahead of time, could you reasonably have predicted that they might lose track, and should you not have been the one to reach out? Why should I have to reach out? Well, to avoid this. Every single one of my clients who has been invested emotionally in something that has not panned out, every single one of my clients goes through a phase where they feel that the error, that the loss, that the negative outcome was somehow aimed at them. And every single time, the conversation I have is to explain to them the true definition of trust. And every single time they're disappointed. They're disappointed. You know, you're saying lovely, lovely things, as you always do, Kelly. Everybody saying such lovely things about, oh my gosh, this is incredible. One of the reasons you are saying those things is you are a lovely human being. But the other reason you're saying is you're not emotionally invested in the other definition. You came here ready to learn something from me about things that happen to you. You have decided that some aspect of Abby Mom has walked here before and probably remembers why we're not doing that again. Ow. However, when we are emotionally invested, when we are clinging to something, demanding that it rescues us, saves us, empowers us, gives us things that are not theirs to give, they are ours to own. We don't want to know that happiness is ours. He makes me so happy. I'm nothing without him. That's not true. Yes, it is. You just don't understand. Yes, I do. When did you meet him? A week ago. Okay. So how old are you? Okay. So up until a week ago, you were somebody. You weren't nothing. You drive a car, you have a driver's license, you live someplace, you eat food, you pay for things, you go to a job, People depend on you. You have family. You are alive and well. You have laughed before. You have been happy before. I know, but this is different. You don't understand. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. You're giving all your power away so that that person is now responsible for you. You don't got to do any of the work now, except that that's not true. And you are telling yourself a story that is going to make you miserable, reliably, predictably, consistently. What we bring to a conversation, if I, I have a thing happen and I want to share it with somebody and I think of the person I want to share it with and I reach out and I don't get a reply, I'm thinking, aw, because I set it up so that there would be a moment, right? And there's no moment. And then I get, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I had this happen and that happened, the other happened. Then I just saw this and oh, I wish I was there. Ah, if we are so quick to assume we are unloved, if we are so quick to assume that we are unneeded or unwanted by the tribe and that somebody's going to kick us out outside the cave where the saber-toothed whatnots are, it's us we have to do the work on. It's us we have to recognize and reasonably predict that somebody is happy to hear from us today. Somebody needed to hear from us today. Somebody really, really, really wanted to laugh hard today. And that's why they sought me out. It can be reliably predicted that I'm going to say something fairly silly at any given moment in time. Some of it that is enjoyable is the silliness, and other aspects of it are the surprise element, because we never know when I'm going to do it, because it just pops into my head. My dad used to say when we were driving, always drive as though everyone on the road is an outpatient and they're going to get their meds refreshed. And I first few times he said it, I laughed and I said, when you say everyone, you mean everybody else. And he said, no, I don't. Everyone, including you. Just a little off. Not on purpose, but life. So the definition of trust, the actual definition of trust, is our ability. It's not their behavior. It's our ability. Trust is our ability to reasonably predict other people's behavior because we have learned pattern recognition. If they did it before, if they do it often, it's a strong likelihood they will do it again. If they are a rebel and you enjoy the rebel mischief, you can reasonably predict that they will also rebel against you, against your relationship, against the goodness and the greatness and the logic of it, because they are wired to rebel against everything, good, bad, or purple. I don't know why you did that. I went to I went to the car mechanic once because my car was making odd noises, and he put it up on the lift and he had a look, and then he said, "Okay, so your timing is great because you came in just in the nick of time. We have to deal with all the fluids." I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Okay, so you're like, everything is on fumes. You have barely any water. You have barely any oil. You have barely any this, that, or the other." And I said, "Well, that's not possible. That is not possible." And he said, "Really? Why not?" And he said, "There's nothing leaking. It's just time." And I said, "Hey, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you why it's not possible. Last week, I went to a service station, full service. Remember the days of full service? And the guy came out and I said, could you check all my fluids? And he said, absolutely, pop the hood. So I popped the hood and he was under there for a while. And he came back and he said, okay, you're going to need this and this and this. And I said, good, do it. So he went away and he came back with all this stuff and he was under the hood and he did da 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 da. It was raining outside. And fortunately, I pulled in under their, canopy. He's under there and he comes back and he says, okay, you're all good to go. And he slammed the hood down. He's wiping his hands with his little rag. And I said, what do I owe you? And he told me, and I handed him actual cash money. And he said, I'll be right back with the change. And it was like a couple of dollars. And I said, you know what? It would have been miserable for me to do it. Thanks. Keep change. He said, thanks very much. See you soon. And I told this to my mechanic. And my mechanic said, did you get out of the car and watch him do it? And I said, well, no. Full service means I get to stay in the car. And by the way, raining. And he said, uh-huh. And I said, then you have no idea what he did under the hood. And I said, well, of course I do. I saw him bring all the stuff. He was under there. He got it all done. My mechanic says, did you see the containers? What? No. It was a garbage thing. He probably just... And the mechanic said, so he told you he did everything? And he told you how much it was? I said, yes. My mechanic smiled at me and he said, so that would be the first time a man lied to you? No. Yeah. How well do you know this guy? I don't. My thing is, he says to me, my mechanic says back to me, do you know his favorite flavor of ice cream? No. Okay, then. So you sat there and the guy said he did something. He told you to give him a bunch of money. And you not only gave him a bunch of money, you gave him a tip. You thanked him. And I said, yeah. He said, okay, come here, get out of the, come over here. And he said, look at this. Look. See, empty containers. See, now look at all the layout. Look at all how full everything is. Okay. And he said, why didn't you come here? And I said, because I needed fuel at the same time and it was raining. And the guy said, so then when you go to a place you've never been, and I said, I know. I do know. I do know. My mechanic said, I sometimes wonder about you. Occasionally I worry. I've never forgotten that. So this was the first time a guy lied to you. So then we're not guy bashing. It was just a manner of speech. Was this a first time a stranger lied to you? How the hell do I know if they're strangers? So here's what I want to talk about in terms of this trust thing and in terms of the way we feel and how we feel betrayed and how we naturally attach things to things, because it is the way we cope. It is the way we survive. It is the way we prepare and predict for the next things coming. If you stand on the beach and a wave comes and a wave recedes and you see it happen over and over and over again, and then periodically you'll see a big wave. You think that's interesting. And so you start counting the smaller waves and how many are between. You say, oh, look, it's a pattern. What do you think those surfers are doing out there? They're counting the waves and waiting for the big one that they can ride in and have a great ride. What I want for us, what I want for me, and because I am one of us, I want for thee as well, is I want us to feel heard, seen, valued as often as possible, so that we maintain our confidence, we maintain our joy, our sense of wonder, our innate happiness and gratitude. We use tools that are meant to help us set the toxic aside, set the fear, set the hurdles, set the exhaustion aside so that we can assess it and process it and deal with it later. So that in this moment, either separately or together, we enjoy the full value of our moment, of this moment. If we are trusting someone else to do and be and have and give so that we can live, we are not living. We are waiting. We are yearning. We aren't taking ownership. The logo for Pivotry in Motion, the first time I saw it, two things happened. I burst into tears, like, boof, and I felt a gut punch. The image for Pivotry in Motion is a V formation flock of birds, and they're flying toward the sun across the water. And so they're rising up and they're flying in their V. That's not the gut punch. It's beautiful. It's not the gut punch. The gut punch is that in the foreground, in the beginning, they're not birds. They're heavy links of chain. And what has happened is these birds have made the decision to set themselves free. They have not been chained by outside forces. They have allowed outside forces to chain them. There's this incredible image I saw so many times so long ago when I was first getting Pivotry going. And it was those pictures of the elephants from circuses that are trained as infants, that they are not free because they're tied, one leg is tied by a rope to something strong. Ultimately, when the elephant is fully grown, the rope is still around their ankle. They could break it at any given second. It's not a heavy metal chain, it's just a rope. The chain, the rope itself, is not holding them hostage anymore. It is their belief that they have been taught, that they have allowed themselves to teach themselves that they are not free. It would take, and has taken, an incredible event, a circumstance, anger, fear, something, crisis, for the elephant to stop thinking about that and simply break free using its instinct. And we've all seen pictures like that. I have a picture of a horse tethered to a plastic garden chair. There's no reason the horse can't walk away with the chair. But clearly, that was a trained behavior. So the image for Pivotry in Motion, these birds have chosen. They've said to themselves, it's time for me. And they have broken free. And it's so, it's such a surge of yes. And the difficulty that we have, when I was driving home yesterday, The other 3 hours in the car, in the beautiful car. It's a beautiful car. It's air conditioned. It's a beautiful car. It's a copper beast. But it's another 3 hours. So 3 hours there, 3 hours back, 2 hours there, another hour there, and it's a long day. It was difficult for me until I stopped as I was thinking, to get past the fact that it wasn't done, finished today as I was driving, because I was tired. Because I had lost my oomph and my zoomph, I was saying, oh, and then the rest of this week I still have to do. But then all of a sudden, I don't know, I saw something and I realized it was only one thing, and everything else was brilliant and everything else was amazing. And I got home and I dragged everything upstairs into the apartment and I said, all right, shoes off. All right, cold glass of wine, sit down. I have to unpack stuff. Not yet. And I sat there and I gave a toast to me and I said, all right then. All the things except one, we only have one left. And I flipped it. I flipped it because I deserve to feel awesome. And I realized that so many of us are not that kind of person. We're not spike the ball people. We're low key. We're quiet. We like the small gestures. We still have soaring hearts inside every single one of us. We all have soaring hearts. And what I want for all of us is to understand that soaring hearts are ours to own. And all we need are the tools and the instructions on how to recover that recognition and that willingness and that readiness to break free. Trust me on it. Okay, I will talk to you Thursday. I have an amazing thing to talk about on Thursday. If you are in the heat zone, if you are in a rain zone, if you are in a wind zone, if you are in a dry zone, whatever zone you are in, be good to you. You deserve it. And remember to hug your loved ones, because they deserve it too. Thank you so much for watching and being part of this.